Guys, thank you for always watch our interviews. Today we have Damon Jones, the publisher of Black Westchester Magazine. Mr. Jones, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Before we start, let me give you my condolences for the passing of your mom.
Thank you.
She
Appreciate
passed
it.
2 weeks ago or so, right?
Appreciate it. Yep.
So my condolences. Well, Damon, we're here today to talk about things that happen, not just in Mount Vernon, the nation, our society, our county. Okay, and you are the person that articulates issues very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You articulate issues. We might don't agree all the time,
Yes,
but you articulate those issues properly. And I think that sometimes one of the problems that we might have is that people cannot articulate well or cannot understand issues well. Let's start with the nation. What do you think is one of the biggest problems that we have at this time in our country?
Well, right now, the climate of the country is race, but that's not a new problem. I mean, I think it has been exacerbated because of the leadership, but I think it's always been a problem. I mean, the DNA of America is based on enslavement of people. So the institutions itself in America is built on oppression of people. And until we have an honest conversation on that, you know, I don't think we could really move forward.
Now, Damien, you said it, and I agree. Racial issues is nothing new.
Right.
But lately, in the last 2 years, we are seeing it more and more. And like you said, it's not the problem with racism, it's a problem with leadership. And racism was always there. It just was masked.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that I say thanks to Trump. Because he helped unmasking
Exactly.
those racial issues that we are having that we couldn't see.
Exactly.
That people say, no, we don't have much racism.
Or we
in
were in
America.
denial.
We were in denial.
That's right.
Is racism alive and healthy and kicking in America?
Absolutely. I mean, it never was sick.
It was never sick.
It was never sick. I think now, you know, because of leadership, it's emboldened. People are emboldened to give their views. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you work with somebody for 20 some odd years, and now they're giving opinions that you would never thought that they were giving. But it's there.
And you never thought they were that way.
Exactly. So it's there. I mean, but I think it's good. But we have to have honest conversation about it. I don't think we're having real honest conversation about racism and bias and the institutions of America and how they deal with people of color and poor people.
Now, do you think that people of color, meaning you, meaning I,
Right.
and others that have a brown skin,
Right.
is justice blind, Damon? Is justice applicable to all people in the same way?
Well, old people get a raw deal too. Seniors get a raw deal too. How seniors are treated in these senior centers is horrible. Like you mentioned earlier about, you know, the passing of my mother. My mother was sick for about 2 years, and she stayed in the senior center, and there was issues with that, you know. And I watched other older people that family didn't come see them, and they were treated differently than those who came and saw them every day.
We have a comment here from Mr. John Salami, and this is not addressed to you, it's addressed to me. He's telling me, Trump is not a racist. I am a racist. Obama was a racist. You want to answer this guy, or?
Obama was far from a racist. Obama, as far as I'm concerned, didn't push the issue far enough for black people. Obama was apologetic to white people and their issues. So Obama being a racist, let me say something to Mr. John Salami. Just because I'm pro-me does not mean I'm anti-you. Racism is what you do with your racism, and when you oppress people because of their color, that's what racism is. Obama didn't oppress no white person as being a president compared to Donald Trump. Obama never called any countries asshole countries or shithole countries, right? And when he was referencing black countries, people of color. Obama never did that. So,
and he never said that we should have immigrants for countries like Denmark and.
Exactly. So before you call somebody a racist, really, I mean, you gotta look in the mirror. You gotta understand the definition of racism. It's prejudice plus power, right? Obama didn't use, if he was prejudiced, he didn't use his power as president to oppress white people.
Big difference.
There's a big difference.
There is a big difference. Now, the conservatives, right wings, when you throw things that we think it's wrong with the president of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
they come back to us, or to general people, Democrats and liberals. But the economy. Is the economy all that matters, Damon?
Well, the economy is a talking point. The economy is a talking point for both political parties, like Trump is a talking point for the Democrats. So they, politicians use talking points, and it does a disservice because we fail to look at the real issue. But the reality is, whether the economy is up or down, black and brown and poor people are last.
That's
right?
it.
The economy is up when the rich folks are making money in the stock market, and they're happy to do that. But the average person doesn't get a raise. He get a 1% raise or 1.5. So it doesn't matter if the economy is up or down. If you're black, you don't see no change, right? The economy's up. Right here in Yonkers, we're looking at these big buildings. Average black person ain't gonna be able to live in that building. Them people that rent on Warburton Avenue, they're not gonna be able to lease in that building. They can't afford it, right? You got in Greenberg, you got apartment buildings going for $3,500, but the economy's up. That's what happens when the economy up. And black people always last if the economy is up, but we're first when the economy is down. So.
Now let's bring racism to our area. How do you feel racial issues and tensions are in our area? Mount Vernon, Westchester County, at all levels, law enforcement, street justice, crimes. Do crimes get resolved more when the victim is a white person than a black person? Let's talk about that.
I sent you a report.
Yes.
It was the 1992 report of Andrew O'Rourke, who was a Republican county exec from the then African American Advisory Board. And in that report basically predicted what we see today in the various cities, towns, and villages in Westchester County, dealing with black people and dealing with poor people. So when we discuss where are we today as black and brown, we are still in a situation that should cause alarm to community leaders, to pastors, to elected officials, to teachers, to everyone. Nothing has changed from that report. I was recently on the transition team for George Lattimore, the county exec, and dealing with the criminal justice. Only thing we had to do when making recommendations was copy and paste from the 1992 report.
Serious?
If we had to, right? If we had to, when we was sitting in the group thinking about what recommendations, what changes need to be made, how do we do these changes in the criminal justice system, dealing with police, correction, and probation. And it dawned on me, I said, I heard this before.
So Damien, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you telling me that you copy and paste.
No, we didn't copy and paste. I said, only thing we need, if we could, because the same recommendations we came up with was similar to the ones in 1992.
So that's what I was trying to get. So that means not much was done. If we do
not a damn thing was done. Basically, nothing has changed. You know, maybe the population of inmates have went down because we are not arresting away the opioid epidemic that we now look at as a health crisis, but we didn't look at the crack epidemic as a health crisis. We look at it as a criminal justice crisis, and we arrested and put those people that were sick in jail. We're not doing that. See, and that's why. Because black and brown and poor use crack, and white folks is on the opioids. Right? So we see the indifference in the criminal justice system, but we don't want to talk about it. We don't really want to address it, and our politicians just, you know, they go along with it. So you know, so the issues are there. You know.
But you know, Damon, that's it seen at many levels.
Exactly.
Okay. Opioids, cracks, they were criminals. They need to be behind bars. This and that.
Exactly.
Now let's look for treatment.
Exactly.
They have a problem.
Exactly.
They look at their childhood. If we look around and when we see mass killings, it's the same thing.
Okay.
You know, a black person does it. Send him to jail. Shoot him on sight. Do this, do that. Different race does it. He has mental issues. He needs treatment.
Exactly. It's all in the narrative. I mean, that was one of the reasons we created Black Westchester Magazine, to control the narrative, to give a different narrative of what's going on, because the narrative that is usually given is really not conclusive to what's really going on, especially in the black and brown communities. So, you know, we don't control the narrative of black people. You know, like they're excited that CNN put a show together, you know, with all these black and brown people on a panel. Okay, that's great. But the question is, when are we going to own our own CNN? Right? When are we going to own our own media? When do we control our narrative? Why other people always have to tell our stories? Why can't we tell our stories? And I think that was the most important issue with Black Westchester, that we wanted to tell our own stories. We didn't want, you know, with all respect to LOHUD and News 12, and we wanted to tell our stories. We stand on the shoulders of papers like the County Press. You know, the first thing people said that we were going to battle the County Press. No, we're not battling the County Press. You know, we honor the County Press for their 80 years in business of being a black newspaper. But we wanted to do something a little different. That's why it looks different. We talk about different things, you know, because we wanted to be separate. You could have Black Westchester and you could have the County Press, right? Nobody gets mad when you can have the New York Times and the Daily News, right? So, you know, we could have different thought processes and different ways to tell stories. So I think that's needed in Westchester County. You know, Westchester County is one of the, whether we believe it or not, you know, is one of the most segregated counties. And we need to address that. We need to talk about that. So we have to move forward in changing that narrative. Look at just recently, the actress that got, a couple of months for that whole scandal, the college scandal.
14 days.
14 days, right? But yet they want to put a black mother in jail for 5 years because she used a family's address to send her child to school.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Look at that. So you pull a woman away from her child, right? But yet this rich white lady who committed more crimes than what she did, and they give her 14 months.
14 days.
14 days, Jesus Christ.
2 weeks then. Maybe with good behavior, maybe it's 8 days.
Exactly. And that's what we see. So black people in America never have seen real justice, right? Justice, I always say, justice is not blind, right? Lady Justice peeks underneath her blindfold and she sees who's in front of her before she makes a decision. And if you're poor, black, even poor white, right? Or a person of color, the decisions are always different.
But Damon, is it an issue with color, or is it an issue with the power of your bank account? Because I see blacks.
It's both. It's both, because we don't control those positions. We don't control those positions in the criminal justice system, right? We don't have black people in the DA's office, right? Nobody has sat and questioned Scarpino on how many blacks he have hired. And this is a Democrat DA, right? They didn't dare to question Janet DeFiore, but nobody's questioning him, right? How many black people have you hired in decision-making positions in your district attorney's office, right? The county government is no different. I love and respect George Lattimore, think he's a good county exec, but we don't have no black man running a department or a black person running a criminal justice department.
Why not? Is it because we don't have people that can do the job? Or is it because they don't want to hire black people to do the job?
I think that's a question you need to ask them.
What do you
Because
think?
we've been asking. We're still trying to find out. Because we have given them qualified people of color, men and women, but we don't see it. So the question is, are we still, even in a Democratic run county, have a hard time with black people in decision-making positions in the criminal justice system, right? Historically, there's been only one police department in Westchester County, that has ever seen a black commissioner, and that's Mount Vernon, out of the 43 municipalities.
Now, let's come to Mount Vernon specific. It was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we had a hurricane in Mount Vernon that was boiling for a while. You were very much involved. I saw a few things that you wrote. You were pretty upset. Are you more at peace now? Are you happier now?
No.
That things are settling down?
Things are not settling down. I mean, because the political process of Mount Vernon is flawed, right? The mayor that confessed to criminal crimes took advantage of a flawed system. And nobody wants to fix the flawed system. So it doesn't matter who's in the mayor's seat, right? It doesn't matter who's on that city council board. They are operating a flawed system. And until they're willing to fix a flawed system, that system will always be able to be taken advantage of.
Damon, but then they all to blame. Then you cannot blame one and
No,
not the other. I'm not
I-
saying you are. I'm just
right.
saying if there is somebody taking advantage of a flawed system, and you have a group of people that are aware of that flawed system, and they don't fix it, then I ask myself why.
Because every single one of them wants to be in the seat so they could take advantage of the flawed system too. That's why it's not changing, right? So you question, why wouldn't the Democratic chair push to put in place to make sure things won't happen? So why hasn't there been changes in the charter? I don't agree with all the recommendations that the charter committee has submitted, but I do agree that changes need to be made.
That's without a doubt.
Okay, how can city council people violate the charter, make a deal to accept a fraudulent document of resignation to give $35,000 of taxpayer dollars, and nobody gets investigated? Not one elected official in Mount Vernon or Westchester County used their bully pulpit to say that was wrong. Not one. So we can't sit here as Democrats and then say that the Republicans must admonish Trump for what he's doing, and we don't do it to ourselves, we become hypocrites. So we're living in a Hippocratic system. The system itself is a bunch of fucking hypocrites. So until we are honest enough to say that and want to run the city the correct way, then that's what you see. Why is every other city growing? Has anybody questioned that? Why is every other city growing? Mount Vernon is the best piece of land in Westchester County, and it still can't grow. Right? And as far as me being a black person, it should be the Wakanda for all black people in Westchester County. With economic development, educational system should be on par, right? People should be striving, jobs. Why isn't it happening? So we gotta ask the question, and these are Democrats, right? Everybody wanna talk about Republicans, but as I said on the radio show, and I say all the time, ain't no Republican pissing in my hallway. No Republican breaking in my cars. No Republican sticking me up. The shootouts that happen at some of these bars, ain't no Republicans pulling the trigger. These are sons and daughters and some people registered Democrats. So we gotta check ourselves.
We need to look at each other in the mirror.
Right, we gotta check ourselves. We just can't always pass the blame. You can't blame the white man when the whole city is run by black people. So what is the problem? So we need to answer the problem, and we need to be honest about the problem, because we don't want to be honest about the problem.
Well, like they say, you cannot fix a problem unless you accept the problem, so then you can address it.
Exactly.
But it seems like in Mount Vernon, there is an underlying problem. Everybody knows this. Like Trump says, I know this, you know this, they know that. But no one is doing anything about it. Is it a matter of convenience? Is it that maybe the things that we were blaming the other one for doing, maybe we're doing a little bit of the same thing?
Maybe so.
That we're protecting our own interests? Because we saw the whole thing with the mayor, charter, and then they turned around and did exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
So then I wonder, what is it that you're protecting?
Exactly.
You accuse the mayor of corruption.
And then you turn around and then you work with the corrupt mayor to be corrupt. Right.
Exactly. Then you give him $35,000 not to speak, probably, I don't know. But that must be a reason why that 35 grand were given. I don't know. Did they?
No, they never. No.
But it was on the table.
Well, they tried.
The intent was there.
They absolutely. They tried, and they should be admonished for that. And I think it's disheartening when nobody says anything. Like really, like nobody says anything. So and it's sad, and it's really a disservice to everyone in Mount Vernon. It's a disservice. It has some, unless the city breaks, they don't have a credit rating. I don't know how they're going to get money, right? If your credit is bad, but you don't have no credit rating, they need to get their credit rating back. So how are they going to operate? So sooner or later, the system itself, because it's flawed, is going to fail. And then what's going to happen? The state's going to come in and take over, or they're going to go up to Albany, and they're going to get so much amount of money to put money back into a flawed system.
Damon, would it be wrong for me to assume or to say that people within the city hall are setting up their own city to fail?
You know what? I don't know, but only thing I could say is that something needs to change. Something needs to change. I've been going to city council meetings and something needs to change. You just can't go and be an elected official and have blinders on and decide to be elected official when you want to be elected official, when it serves your need. It really needs to change, because I don't think people see how important Mount Vernon is to Black people. I don't think they see that, right? And when that goes on, you could be in Largemont sitting at a bar, right? And that comes on, and all the white people look at you, right? They look at you, whether you're from Mount Vernon or not. They look at you. It's a huge responsibility that Mount Vernon has, and I don't think they have realized it yet, that they have for the rest of Black people, not just in Westchester, but New York State, because it's the only state in New York like that Black people are in control. They're literally in control.
We could do better.
We could do a lot better.
Now, let's talk about the current mayor, Mr. Andrew Wallace. From 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, how would you grade him for his attempt to improve the city, for the things he has done for the city, and if he was to run for the mayor on the general election, would he have your support, and would you hope he would?
Andre, first of all, I've supported Andre from the beginning, and I told Andre he should have ran 4 years ago for mayor instead of city council, because I saw his work in the community. And throughout the 3 years, the issues with my issues and my family issues with the city government, Andre was the only elected official that was out front. There were those from the county and state who called, right? But Andre was out front addressing the issue as a city council person. Johanna Edwards also. And I think Andre has got a raw deal in fighting Richard Thomas, that he was part of the problem. When he wasn't part of the problem, he was doing his job as an elected official. I think people don't get that. And then he wasn't known in the city, because he did his business. He didn't hang out, but he wasn't known in the city. So I think that was a flaw, and people looked at him and thought he was part of the problem because he was always arguing, and I told Andre, stop arguing with the mayor, because it makes you look like you're part of the problem, which you're fighting for the people. You have, but it played into a narrative that was good for Thomas. You understand? Because his family's known. He's born and raised. He Razorbacks in high school and all that. And they treat outsiders a little differently. I was called that too when I first moved to Mount Vernon. Oh, you ain't from here. This and that. So I get it. I get the culture, right? And I told Andre, but what he's doing now as mayor, he's cleaning up house, and he should.
And he's doing it?
He's doing it the best way he can. I mean, he's going to have resistance, right? They would resisted him for trying to clean up Memorial Field. Why?
And Memorial Field has been an issue, so they should be glad that...
Exactly, that they're doing it now. I don't understand why they're talking about waiting for January 1st. Get it done now. You're getting fined every day. See, this is the bullshit that goes on. Allow the man to do his job. If you think he's not going to win, he shouldn't. All numbers say he shouldn't, right? Because it's a Democratic city. So what the fuck you worried about it for? Let the man clean the job. And then if the other candidate is January 1st, the mayor, then they don't gotta worry about cleaning the shit. He already did it.
Done.
He's already did it. So you don't have to go and do favors and deal with the bullshit. Let the man do his job. I don't understand. What is the problem?
Damon, I think sometimes politicians have a tendency to fight for their own benefit instead of fighting for the benefit of the people. If Memorial Field is done, the ones that are going to benefit from it
It's the people.
is the people.
Exactly.
It's not who did it. Why don't we do it now? Why wait for January? Why? If we can benefit the people now, do it. That way, whatever is elected next time in January takes. Don't have to worry about it. It's already done, just like you said.
No, well, that's not the logic. I mean, unfortunately, that's not the logic that's given. So, I just wish him luck. Whether it's 4 months, I don't know if he's running. That's his decision that he has to make. But I wish him luck in cleaning house, because the house needs to be clean.
Well, Damon, we're going to come to an end because we cannot stay here the entire day.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for being here, but I have to ask you, as I ask every guest, okay? Sometimes I have so many questions to ask.
Right.
But sometimes when I sit here, I forget some. Is there anything in your mind that you want to bring it up?
There's two things.
Please.
That when we talked last night, we wanted to cover the whole gorilla picture issue with the fire department.
Oh, that's correct. Race, that's right.
So, we wrote, I'm also the New York representative of Blacks in Law Enforcement of America, and we did write a support letter for the black firefighters in Yonkers. There has not been one police, well, we have these issues in police, corrections, probation, and now the fire department. So every majority of the first responder departments has these racist Facebook posts. Racism exists. It exists in our law enforcement departments. It exists in our fire departments. And if you talk to black court officers, it exists in court officers, probation, and parole. This is why organizations like the Vulcans, Blacks in Law Enforcement, National Black Police Association, Guardians Association, all different associations have historically was created to combat the bias and the racism that's within the department. As I said before, we don't see ourselves in leadership positions and appointed positions. And we need to question our mayors and our county execs and our political leaders. Why is that? Because these are appointed positions. I think I have a relationship with Mayor Spano. I've known Mayor Spano for over 25 years. When I was a union delegate and his cousin Joe Spano was the president of the correction union, and he was an assembly person. I have a lot of respect for him, but I think he dropped the ball on this one. That man should not have been promoted with a record like that, at least not the first time. If he took the test again, maybe yes. Now, some people say that he should be fired. I don't think he could have been fired. 75 days was taken away from him. I think that's adequate, because usually if you look around these other incidents, it was like 30 days. Now, whether the 75 days was taken from accrued time or he was actually suspended on the street at home, not getting a paycheck for 75 days, we gotta see. Because if it was taken from accrued time that he had, then he didn't really feel it. It was like a slap on the wrist, because he didn't really lose any money. You understand? So we have to look into that, how that's 75 days. And I got a relationship with the union president, Frank McGoey. I think he's a good
Barry.
Yeah. I'm Barry McGoey. I think he's a good person. But you have the contracts, right? You have the collective bargaining, how you get disciplined and how you can't, what can get. So that's it. So that's the thing. But they dropped the ball on that, right? And that's disrespectful to the black and brown people that live in the city of Yonkers. But the question is, as the question is always, right? Whether it's corrections, police, whatever department, when racism raises ugly head, where do we go from here?
Now, just before we go on that line, and I don't want to sound like I'm defending, I'm just playing devil's advocate, I'm trying to give both sides. I have made jokes that after the joke is made, I said, shit, I shouldn't have said that. Not that that joke represents how I truly think.
Mm-hmm.
I have spoken to a few people that actually know this fireman. And some are telling me that he's really not a racist. This is a joke that was taken out of context and blew up. Is this a...
Well, it's a bad joke, and unfortunately, if he did make a mistake, I don't know him, right? I don't know, but if he did make a mistake, and if he posted that, and I worked with him, he would have a problem, right? He would have a serious problem. We could make jokes. That picture was horrific.
I saw it, yes.
Right? And to post it, and not only you was referring to black people as being animals, you said the number 1 and number 2 on the test taking. So those are not even people. So this is what you see. You know, there's been Black Lives Matter jokes and this and that, but that one right there was crazy. And the community needs to be outraged about it. The community should be outraged about it. That he got promoted. I wouldn't have promoted him the first time. Because...
But he was passed a few times.
Since in the 2 years?
Yes. At least that's what my research said, that he was passed over promotion a few times because of that incident. I cannot confirm, but
right.
This is the indication
if that's true, we have to look into that deeper. But from a community perspective,
the perception, right?
Right, and the perception that's given, the community has a right to be outraged.
Oh yeah.
Dude, let me say something.
Joke or no joke, out
exactly.
of context or in context.
What if you or I put up a joke about a Jewish person?
Oh.
We would have been put somewhere in the fire department. They wouldn't even never knew we even worked there anymore.
Damon, I'm not sure if you follow that story. A few years ago, a young black guy from Yonkers made a joke about a little Jewish boy because of his head in Brooklyn. They ate that boy alive. I think his name was Daquan, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
That was a few years ago.
Right.
That thing blew up.
Exactly.
And this is a young guy who made a joke.
Right.
He came on our show, he apologized. He said that the thing was taken out of context. But they crucified him in a way. And let me make it clear, guys, that at Yonkers Voice, we always try to get both sides of the story. We try to invite Rachel LaPeroux, I think that's his name, to come into our show, to talk about the issue, to speak with the community. We did not contact him directly, but a third person contacted him on our behalf. But he rejected to step forward and talk to us at this time. I'm not saying that he will not do it, but this time he said that he was not interested. So we gave him an opportunity to speak with the community and let the community know that, are you regretful? Was it out of context? Speak with the community, face the community. Because you're right.
No.
If I'm a black member of my community and I see a joke like that, I don't know if it's out of context. I don't know what's in his mind. All I know is what I see and what I read.
And the question is, as I put in the statement, if you're joking like that, how do I know you're sincere in serving me in the community? How do I know that you're sincere in being my supervisor? Right? If you're making jokes like that about me, my race, my people. But see, black people in Westchester is the most disrespected people. And then we don't do anything. You know, we really do need the mindset of Jewish people, right? How they defend themselves. And this is not being anti-Semitic. This is giving Jewish people a lot of credit, a lot of credit. We need that mindset. White Plains, Kenneth Chamberlain Sr., shot and killed, called nigger. And then black people and the mayor didn't contact the family for 6 months. Then defends the officers. But then black people go vote him, put him back in office. Ridiculous. You got Greenberg. Terry Hill Apartments is systematically right now displacing black families that are on low income so they can make it, so they can raise the rent to whatever. You got single mothers in hotels right now. Right now. This is going on right now. Will black people run and vote for Paul Feiner again and put him in office? So where are we? Here. What are they going to do now? You have a press conference, right? So what are you going to do now? He's already won the primary, right? So what are you going to do now? When do we, as black people, demand that our lives matter? But see, it ain't going to matter to them until it matters itself, right? Black lives must matter to black people. We must take our own responsibility and say, we're not tolerating this. But we just have a press conference, then it goes away, and then we go vote the same person that violated us, we go put them in office again. We'll run back and put them in office again. So maybe black people just shouldn't vote. I'm just not voting this election time. Because if you don't want to respect me, then I'm just not going to give you my vote. Because black people votes in the Democratic Party in Westchester County has been taken for granted for years. Because we get nothing for it. We get nothing for our vote. And that's on the city level, that's on the county level, and that's on the state level. So we got to choose if black lives is going to matter to black people in Westchester County.
Black lives should matter to black lives first before we demand.
Exactly. Well, that's right. You can't expect black lives matter to white folks if black lives ain't mattering to black people. Exactly.
Now, Damon, what about, we also spoke about some health program. Tell us a little bit about it.
So we're going to be launching, hopefully, in January. Watching my mother the last 2 years dealing with her health issues, I noticed at one time I was on the same medications that she was, and I decided to look into it more. And what we're going to do is really talk about the health in black communities. I think that's one of the problems should be up at the top, because black people, we lead in all the ailments, heart disease, diabetes, and we're rising up in cancer, high cholesterol. So how do we do that? We have to change our diets. We have to change how we eat. So we're going to look into an initiative calling Plant-Based Power, to go back to eating whole food, plant-based lifestyle. I'm not going to say a diet, right? Because a diet, it only lasts two months or a month. I'm saying a lifestyle. How do you change your lifestyle to eat better, to live longer? We have to start getting our families to stop eating out all the time, right? If you eat home, and these are studies, if you eat home 5 days a week, it's a 47% chance you'll put 10 years extra onto your life. Just eating home, just eating good food.
So the program that you're going to work on, it's awareness.
It's awareness.
Prevention.
And prevention is healing, is detoxifying yourself spiritually, and toxics in your body, in your mind. And I'm doing it and dedicated to my mother because I saw we're even going to push that, you know, even some schools change their diets, you know, because young black kids are getting clogged arteries at 6 and 7 years old, you know. So and we need to look into that, and we need to change that. And it also helps your attitude. You know, there's also studies correlating bad diet to attention deficit disorder, and that's rampant in the black community. They're always labeling our kids ADHD and ADD and putting our children on all these medications. You know, it's bad enough they put our elderly on these medications, and we get on all this medication after 50 years old, eating bad food and drinking soda and all that other stuff. So we're trying to educate the black community to eat better and live longer and change their lifestyle.
So guys, on this note, we're going to end this interview, but before we actually close down for the day, Damon Jones, Black Westchester Magazine, how can they find you?
You go to blackwestchester.com. You can go to Damon.K.Jones.com. Check us out every Sunday. In the mixradio.com, People Before Politics radio show, and you can contact us through all those. Blacks in Law Enforcement of America, BLEAUSA.org, and you can contact through us.
Thank you guys for watching. Until next time. Later.